The Education Equation with Jeremy Singer is the new podcast exploring real research, real results, and real strategies that improve student outcomes. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Visit theeducationequation.org.
Looking for these better days.
It is Tuesday, February 17th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. The NBA All-Star break continues. How can we take advantage of some bets in the futures market, as well as the tanking issue around the league? Olympic hockey for the men's tournament gets back underway today with the elimination round and another system victory last night. Mackenzie Rivers joins me on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. Mac, another system win in college basketball last night as Iowa State at home gets the victory over Houston. And for those who are unaware of our college basketball system, we talk about it. We've been talking about it for years. Ranked on ranked, top 25 game, when the lower ranked home team is the favorite over the higher ranked team. So last night, even with the new rankings that came out, Iowa State was number 6 as a home favorite over number 2 Houston, and they came through with the win and the cover, updating the record this year to 12-4 straight up, 11-5 against the spread. And this is something that has been profitable going back to 2021, 69% straight up and 59% ATS. So the system keeps printing, Mackenzie.
And what's beautiful about this system or any system is that it is not subjective. We cannot say, well, we think it's the system applying because X, Y, and Z reasons. However, in this case, I think this is a great example, better than average example of the system, because if we didn't have the name brands and Houston hadn't been to 2 Final Fours, maybe they wouldn't be ranked over Iowa State. So that both shows you that Houston is overrated, likely. Maybe Iowa State's underrated, but also Iowa State has a chip on their shoulder. They know they have to knock off a more established name, and that's the result we got.
Yeah, Iowa State 15-0 at home this season. And just updating the numbers, this season 12-4 straight up, 11-5 against the spread. So 12-4 straight up, 11-5 against the spread, 68% straight up going back to 2021, 59% against the spread going back to 2021. And that is when we have 2 ranked teams playing each other, and the lower ranked team with the higher seed number, if you will, is the home favorite over the higher ranked team, which is the lower number next to their name, like number 6 beating number 2 last night. Tonight, in top 25 men's college basketball, Mackenzie, we actually might have a system play. I don't think so, because the new number 1 team in the nation, the Michigan Wolverines, are on the road to take on number 7 Purdue. And currently up on FanDuel right now, Michigan State is a 1.5 point, or excuse me, Michigan is a 1.5 point road favorite. So there's a chance that maybe like money comes in on Purdue and pushes Purdue to the favorite. And that would qualify it for a top 25 system play. But as of right now, and I don't know if I don't think it pushes that way, because Michigan is the number 1 team in the nation. They're 24-1 on the season. But as of right now, the Wolverines are the 1.5 point road favorite. Elsewhere in the top 25 tonight, Mackenzie, we could have other system plays. Now, the other system that we've been tracking for years is when you have an unranked home favorite against a ranked opponent. And this one this year, not as profitable as the top 25 on top 25 system. This year, the unranked home favorites against ranked opponents, 9-7, both straight up and against the spread. But this one, much like the other one, has been extremely profitable going back to the start of the 2021 season, where it is 61% straight up, and actually ATS is actually 50%. So maybe it's the it's the 2022 season. That's the one that was the monster year. Yep, 55% ATS if we start with 2022. Anyway, this season 9-7, both straight up and ATS for the unranked home teams against the ranked opponents. And we could have a couple of plays here tonight, including NC State, a current 7.5 point favorite up on FanDuel against number 16 North Carolina. So that's one to keep an eye on here. And we have Iowa, unranked, currently a 1.5-point home favorite against number 9 Nebraska, Mackenzie.
And it seems especially uncommon to have an unranked team favored at anywhere, home or away, versus a top 10 team. Let's look up that number maybe.
So that's interesting because Nebraska ranked number 9 now in the new rankings, and Iowa, if they hold, as the favorite in that game. So this season, the home favorites unranked against top 10 teams, 0-2, both straight up and against the spread. Wow. Do you want to know something hilarious, Mackenzie?
What's that?
Both times this year, the top 10 team was Nebraska.
They just have no respect. No respect.
So Ohio State back on January 5th was an unranked home favorite against Nebraska. They were 2.5-point favorites. Nebraska won the game outright, 72-69. And then on January 10th, just 5 days later, Indiana was an unranked home favorite against Nebraska. Indiana was a 4.5-point favorite, and Nebraska won that game outright, 83-77. So now for a third time this season, Nebraska, ranked in the top 10, is a road underdog against an unranked team. Again, Iowa, a 1.5-point home favorite. Now going back to 2021, let's see if you have the top 10 opponent, because obviously we want a little bigger of a sample size. I just think that's hilarious that it was Nebraska all 3 times this season. But anyway, going back to the start of the 2021 season, the home favorites 17-10 straight up, 15-12 against the spread.
Okay, so in line with expectations.
Yeah.
I thought that might be like a monster trend because it seems like, man, the market's really believing in this home team versus a top 10 team. But I guess we've evidenced now that the market just does not like Nebraska. Maybe they're 30th in the market size.
Yes, the market just does not like Nebraska here. Also, those games since the start of the 2021 season, 18-9 to the over. Interesting.
That's not a small number. Yeah, 18-9.
1-1 this year. 1-1 this year, but 18-9 to the over going back to 2021. So maybe it's an overplay tonight between Nebraska and Iowa. All right, that'll wrap up the college basketball conversation as we shift gears and focus on the NBA, which is still in the midst of its all-star break. Mackenzie, you wrote a great article up on betterday.com yesterday. For those who haven't read it, it was emailed out to all Better Day members. But if you're listening to this pod and you are not a betterday.com member, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please go to betterday.com and join us. You can sign up for free, just get our daily newsletter, or you could become an insider or premium member and click on the link on the homepage at betterday.com to find out how you can elevate your betting game. But the article is featured on the homepage, Mackenzie, how to take advantage of NBA tanking post All-Star break. This is a conversation you and I have had now for the past several shows. I've talked about it on VSiN as well. You were a guest of mine on VSiN, and you brought up some of these numbers. Tell the audience briefly what research you did about the totals with tanking teams. And maybe tanking's like a bad way to put it. Let's just call them bad losing teams after the All-Star break.
Right. Not every bad team is a tanking team, but if you're a tanking team, you're a bad team. So you're going to fit this category. It kind of shocked me just looking at the top 5 fastest teams in the league last year. Because it used to be like Steve Nash's Suns, like good teams, the early Steph Curry Warriors, those would have the fastest pace. But it's not that case anymore. And I think I have a theory as to why the worst teams year after year, and especially the last couple years, play the fastest basketball and how to take advantage of it. And the idea is if you flip a coin that's 45%, you got about a 45% chance to win if you flip it one time. So one less possessions if you're a worse team is usually good. But remember, everything's flipped around in the NBA. Danny Ainge has set the precedent for how to do this. Winning is bad. Winning is not what you want for Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper when Wemby's not there. You want your lottery picks to lose games, all right, but you also want them to play well, to develop. So the way to fix this is against better teams that are really trying, you play as fast as possible. If they are a fast team, you play their speed. If they're a slow team, you try to speed them up and get more possessions out of the game because that way you will get increase your likelihood of losing the game and also get more opportunities, more points per game to sell tickets, all the stuff that you like from your players while they're losing. So if you just split up between very bad teams, I do win percentage less than 35, and everybody else, it's about 50-50 at the end of the season. Some defense wanes off, but the market appreciates that during tanking season, post-All-Star break. But if you just look at when bad teams are versus non-bad teams, teams that have something to play for, whether it be the playoffs or more, that is a nearly 60% over trend. I think teams in this situation are like, you never tell a player not to win a game, but you might tell a player, hey, we don't really care about getting the best shot. We want you to get shots up. We want lots of opportunity. So in the second half of the season, if you get one of these tanking teams, not against another tanking team, because the market's going to price that, I think, right, but against a good team, I think that's when you want to bet overs, and you also want to bet the better team. If you're just looking at tanking teams, 35% or lower win percentage, versus teams that are in that middle area, 36 to 65, those are like play-in or playoff teams, 60% ATS for the better teams in the second half of the season. Why not the whole season? Well, because they actually pretend to be trying for most of the season. That's what changes as the lottery gets closer a few months away. So that's one way to look at the tanking season.
Yeah, I think to put it in layman's terms or to simplify it for people, the NBA has the net rating stats, right? And that's the advanced metrics, which calculate how much you are outscoring your opponent or how much you are being outscored per 100 possessions. And so if you look at the net rating right now amongst the bad teams in the NBA, what's the common denominator, right? It is the bottom feeders, the teams that we talk about that are tanking, for lack of a better term. They are all the worst teams in your net rating. Washington minus 11, the Kings minus 10.2, the Jazz minus 7.4, the Pacers minus 7.3, the Nets also minus 7. So that means those bad teams are being outscored by at least 7 points per 100 possessions. And so how do you tank without making it look like you tank? Like Mackenzie said, you play fast and you increase the number of possessions. Because if you're being outscored by 7 points per 100 possessions, you better make sure you get over 100 possessions and more possessions and more possessions. Because the more possessions, the more chances you have to be outscored.
Exactly. And analytics nerds have all these new metrics to try to indicate pace, and they're often presented as good. I remember a Nate Duncan podcast where he's like, the Washington Wizards have a terrible team, but no team gets the ball above half court faster than the Washington Wizards. So they got that going for them. It's like, well, yeah, if you don't care about being literally the worst team of all time, because last year they had the worst net rating of all time, -11 isn't a normal number, and they're about that same bad this year. Well, if you don't care about that, then yeah, you can goose those analytic nerd stats like time above half court, shot after a rebound, seconds, all those things are being tracked now, and they can go to the meeting at the end of the month and being like, we're not winning games, but look at what we're doing, and all that stuff helps to lose and maybe impresses your boss along the way.
Yeah, and for those people that really they can't grasp this, think about it in the opposite way. What do we always say about teams? If you are a significant underdog and you're trying to pull an upset, what do you want to do? You want to limit the possessions.
Keep it close.
You want to slow the game down. That's the same philosophy here, because obviously lesser possessions and a slower game, it's less opportunity for you to fall behind and have your net rating actually come into play, and you won't be outscored by as many if there's not enough chances for you to be outscored by as many. So now this is just looking at tanking teams that should be taking the opposite approach and should be telling their guys, hey, go out there and play as fast as you can. Just go out there and play fast. That's it. Because you can't tell an NBA player, hey, don't play defense, right? Because then players are
sometimes you have to bench them if they're trying to play too much defense, which the Jazz have done.
But you can't bench them now because the commissioner's looking. Everybody's looking.
Right.
So you can't just tell a player, don't play defense. They take that as an insult. But what you can tell a player is, hey, hustle, hustle, hustle. We're going to run this team out of the gym. But what really happens is you get ran out of the gym. So, yeah, I do love playing the overs and maybe live overs as well on these tanking teams as we continue here post All-Star break. I want to take a look also, Mackenzie, now at the futures market here in the NBA post All-Star break. These odds are courtesy of our friends over at FanDuel. And I know we've had this conversation before, but let's start with the biggest award of them all, and that's the MVP. SGA is minus 190 up on FanDuel to win the most valuable player. Nikola Jokic is plus 300. Now, I believe that Jokic is the MVP of the league right now. I'm sure you might believe that Jokic is the MVP of the league right now. But the reality is he can only miss one more game before he is deemed ineligible for regular season awards. Is plus 300 worth a bet when you have that risk in the back pocket?
No, I don't think it is, because Jokic, I'm sure he wants to play every game, but he's not like an Iron Man of any sort. Like, even if it's 100% his intention to play every game, not all load management is volitional. You know, sometimes it's just tough to play all those games. That said, I think Shea's in the same bucket. He has missed games in the end of the season. He did so especially when the Thunder were tanking and they got all those good draft picks because of it. So that's why people are copycatting that. But I don't think Shea at minus 210, I don't think he's 67% to meet the threshold. So that's a big gap after that. Cade Cunningham at 14-1 here at DraftKings. I think they have a chance. I think they have a chance to be the number one seed, and then you could start seeing the definition. But if you look at dunks and threes EPM, Shea and Jokic are 1-2, like in every metric. Cade Cunningham's only 12th. So it's probably going to come down to those two, but I don't see a great bet. There's just too much variance and too much vig in the market.
So SGA has missed what? There's how many games have they played? They've played, 56 games, right? And
yeah,
so
56.
So he's only missed 7 games, right?
So you can miss 15. I think he's supposed to be back starting the All-Star break.
Yeah. So,
But I'm not sure if I agree with you that it's very obvious that Jokic has been the better player. He's number one in player efficiency rating like he is every year, number one of all time this year. But in other metrics, Shea's right there or a little bit ahead of him, like an estimated plus minus. I think they're they're so far away of everybody else, but I don't think there's that big of separation between them, whichever one you like.
All right. Defensive Player of the Year, Wemby, minus 310. Chet Holmgren, plus 350. Is Chet worth a flyer if you consider Wemby's possibility of missing games?
So let's do the same exercise. Spurs, how many games have they played? They have played 54. Victor Wembanyama, he's played, 40. So they're going to play 26 more games. He's got to play 15. All right, he's going to do that. He's going to do that. They might be in a position to rest some people down the stretch. But it looks like he's going to make 65 games. And then I think more than MVP, if games played is not an issue, I think this is a slam dunk. He's the best defensive player anyone's seen since Hakeem Olajuwon. So he's going to get this one.
Rookie of the Year, Cooper Flagg is up to an absurd minus 750 up on FanDuel. We've talked about Con Kneppel before. He is at plus 500. Do you think there's a world where voters would vote for Kneppel if... Well, he's going to break the record, right? So he's going to break the record for most three-pointers by a rookie in a single season. Let's say the Hornets find themselves into the play-in round. Does Kneppel have a chance to steal votes here?
He definitely does. Like, the distance between 1 and 2 right now is absurd. Go back to my favorite stat, estimated plus minus. Con Kneppel's the only guy under 22 that's a positive player in the NBA. Everyone else is a slight negative. Cooper Flagg, a point better on offense than expected, a point worse than on defense. Young players, it's not surprising, but Con Kneppel plus 2.5, like a top 50 player in the NBA is very rare for a rookie to have that kind of impact. Other nerds like me, Zach Lowe, has talked about it, how his efficiency numbers deserve it. So it's about countering the public narrative, which would be a lot to do. I think if I had to bet it, I would grab some Con Kneppel at near 4-1. But man, that's a huge spread. If we think it's a two-man race, one's minus 650, one's plus 360, that is a lot of ground to make up. This is the kind of thing where if you have a Kalshi account and they have a market out, if you're not betting against the house and you're betting against other people, I think you might be able to get some value because there's just so much vig in this market unless you're doing something like that in exchange.
Coach of the Year up on FanDuel, JP Bickerstaff is your favorite of the Pistons, minus 150. Jordan Ott of the Suns, plus 410. Joe Mazzulla of the Celtics, plus 650. Mitch Johnson of the Spurs, plus 1,100. Charles Lee of the Hornets, plus 1,600. What's your take there?
JB Bickerstaff's probably the bet. If the Pistons get the number one seed in the East, which is likely, and they may get the number one seed in the league, you got to give them some awards. And Cade Cunningham is going to get all NBA. He's going to get all his flowers, but not all of his flowers. He's not in the MVP race, and they don't have anyone else in the Defensive Player of the Year race or anything else like that. So I think JB Bickerstaff, that's implied odds of like 60%. I think that's about right. If I had another flyer to do, I think Mitch Johnson.
I was going to say Mitch Johnson. Yeah, Spurs.
They were supposed to be a 500 team. But people were saying outside of Wemby, who do they have? Well, they have an all-star in De'Aaron Fox now. I mean, they have a lot of things working. All their young guards are better than expected. You got to give the coach credit for that.
Okay, let me ask you something here. Let's see. The Spurs right now are 3 games back of the Thunder for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference.
Yep.
What's that?
And they have the tiebreakers. We know that.
And they have the tiebreakers. Would you bet if you find the market out there, would you bet the Spurs to be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference?
No, I wouldn't. I'm trusting the data. The Thunder still have a historically very good, if not last year's record-breaking net rating. They're 5-5 in their last 10 without Shea, but he's supposed to be back. I think the Thunder just are too good. They're not going to drop 3 games to the Spurs.
Not going to drop 3 games to the Spurs. Okay. Odds to win the conferences. The Cavs are your favorite to win the East at plus 340. Celtics and Knicks plus 350 together. And the Pistons plus 360. 76ers plus 1,100. In the West, the Thunder minus 135. Nuggets plus 350. Spurs plus 650. Rockets plus 1,300. What do you think there? Any value in that market?
I think the Rockets at 13-1 are undervalued. I know they've dropped a lot of close games. I know Victor Wembanyama punked them in Houston, but they're very close to what we would expect on a net rating basis. And a young team or not a young team, but a new team put together. Wouldn't be surprised if the second half of the season was a lot better for them. Ime Udoka has a track history with Boston and Houston of getting teams more and more coalesced and doing better down the stretch. So I think they're flyers at 13-1. I mean, the Nuggets and them were side by side most of the offseason, most of the beginning of the season. I don't see what's happened to make the Nuggets 4 times more likely to win the West. So that's one flyer. In the East, man, the Cavs, when we did the James Harden trade pod, they were 4th. And I know the odds are close, but after a few games, maybe they're listening to this podcast. I do think they are the team. They have the best odds, best chance, maybe not the best odds in the East. I think James Harden, as the 3rd best player on a team, can figure it out. I mean, if you just say, I'm just going to fade James Harden every playoffs until I'm dead, you're probably going to make money. So what am I going to say?
I'm just going to keep fading them, Mackenzie. I'm just going to keep fading them.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the number 1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1. Most people don't realize how much of their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might just sell credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it together at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/secure. Protect yourself now at aura.com/secure.
The Education Equation with Jeremy Singer is the new podcast exploring real research, real results, and real strategies that improve student outcomes. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Visit theeducationequation.org.
Want to know why betting the winter games on FanDuel makes sense? From game lines to medal counts to finding your angle on the events you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with a bet on FanDuel. Curling matches that start slow and somehow get tense fast. Speed skating decided by inches. Hockey games that feel different from the opening face-off, and so much more. FanDuel, play your game. Must be 21 or over and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and over and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
The men's Olympic ice hockey tournament continues today in Milan Cortina as the qualification playoff begins with the right to advance to the quarterfinals to take on the top four seeds that already had buys. Here are your matchups and the current odds up on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Germany will take on France, with the winner advancing to face Slovakia. Currently up on FanDuel, it is Germany is an overwhelming favorite, but the total is at 6.5, and the under 6.5 is juiced at -118. Yes, Italy, the host nation, will take on Switzerland, the winner advancing to face Finland, and currently Switzerland an overwhelming favorite there. Total, same thing, 6.5, slightly juiced to the over at -114. It'll be Denmark against Czechia, with the winner advancing to take on Canada, and Czechia is your heavy favorite there. Czechia minus a goal and a half is -162. Your total there is 6.5, juiced at -142 to the under. And then the game that we're all going to be watching, Mackenzie, well, I'm watching all of them, but you might want to watch this one. Latvia takes on Sweden, with the winner advancing to take on the United States. And right now, Sweden an overwhelming favorite. Your total is at 6.5, juiced at -122 to the under up on FanDuel. Now, other books do offer puck lines. I know FanDuel is just, they haven't moved off like they're -1.5. So if you're going to do puck lines, you have to kind of look at other books. So here are your puck lines for the games. Germany -2.5 over France. Switzerland -3.5 over Italy. Czech Republic -2.5 over Denmark. And Sweden -3.5 over Latvia. I got to be honest with you. I think Latvia at +3.5 might be a play here in this game.
What's your reasoning?
I think goaltending
has been kind of competitive against the USA.
Latvia, they already won a big game in this tournament earlier. I think that Sweden has looked unimpressive. I thought they'd be much better to start this tournament. The goaltending that I thought was a strength for Sweden has been very porous. Meanwhile, goaltending has been solid here for Latvia. So I think there's a scenario where this game is a little bit closer than Sweden wants it to be. Plus, I do think it's going to be a lower scoring game. So if it is a lower scoring game, I'll gladly take the +3.5 goals. Sweden can win this 4-1, and guess what? You cover. They can win this, so
all the pressure's on Sweden. This would be a terrible tournament for them to lose. If Latvia loses, it's like no big deal.
Exactly. If Sweden doesn't have Sweden cannot medal, right? They don't have to win the bronze medal, and like they'll be bothered by that, right?
Yeah.
But if they don't have an opportunity to play for a medal, that would be damning to them. Obviously, the top 4 teams in the quarterfinals are your favorites to medal. Sweden is the top favorite out of the teams playing in the qualification round to earn a medal. So if they were upset by Latvia and they don't have a chance to play for a medal, that would be just a horrific outcome there for Swedish hockey. So yeah, you're right. All the pressure's on them. I think plus 3.5 is a flyer maybe on Latvia. It's a minus 166 though.
Minus 166. Okay.
Yeah, so it is heavily juiced at the plus 3.5 number, but a lower scoring game, and maybe they keep it close. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, and certainly everyone will be watching that to see who the United States is going to play in their quarterfinal matchup, which comes your way on tomorrow, on Wednesday. So we're all going to be keeping an eye on that. Of course, the United States and Canada are on a collision course. Speaking of the U.S. and Canada, Mackenzie, they are also on a collision course for the women's gold medal game. We already knew this was going to be the case. The United States women and Canada both won yesterday. So on Thursday, they will face each other for the gold medal. And tracking the games, as we've done with the U.S. women versus Canada, when they have played in these world tournaments, right, the preliminary round has gone under, while the championship games have gone over. So I know it's contradictory to our, premise of, game 7, and we want it to be, a lower scoring game, or we always think it's going to be a lower scoring game, but maybe over 5.5 could be the look here just based off the history. Now, the United States has dominated Canada in the past year, right? Like in all the games they've played, whether it's the World Championships or whether it's the little friendly rivalry series that they play against each other every year, they've dominated. And the U.S. goaltending has been incredible. Another shutout here in the semifinals. So that's the one fear. And they did win 5-0 against Canada earlier in the preliminary round. So the question is, does Canada score? But just look at the history. In the World Championships last year, USA won 2-1 in the preliminary round. USA won 4-3 in overtime in the championship. Going back to the 2024 World Championships, the USA won 1-0 in overtime in the preliminary round. Canada won 6-5 in overtime in the championship game. So, again, the last 2 world tournaments between these two teams, under in the preliminary round, over in the championship. Going all the way back to the Winter Olympics in 2022, it was actually the opposite. Over in the preliminary round, 4-2 a Canada win, and then a 3-2 Canada win in the gold medal game. But that was the last Olympics. So, I don't know. I might take a flyer on the over 5.5, Mackenzie, or maybe just the USA team total.
That's what I was thinking. 6-0, 5-0 in the knockout round. We're killing teams.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe maybe instead of doing the game to go over, maybe it's just the USA women team total to go.
They've given up 1 goal in this tournament. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're incredible. USA minus 2.5 on the puck line. I don't know if I'd want to do that because it can go to overtime. I mean, these two teams, they're so good. It could be a 4-3 game. And it goes over.
It's Steelers Ravens. I don't want to lay the juice or lay the number.
You don't want to lay the number. Well, speaking of Steelers and Ravens, Mackenzie, before we get out of here, let's update the NFL news. Tyreek Hill's a free agent. How about that? The Cheetah will be looking for a new home. Where do you expect him to land?
San Francisco would be great. The price will be very interesting. We've seen people 1 year removed, like DeAndre Hopkins and other names like that. Just can be, whether it's personality or just you're 2 years older than the prime of the NFL. I do think he has it. There was so much going on. He was arrested on the way to a game, his personal issues. There's so many reasons to explain why he wasn't the best receiver in the league last year. But 2 years ago, he was. So I think he's a very valuable asset. I could see him going to Buffalo and trying to win a Super Bowl. I think he goes to a contender, and I think he takes a little bit of a haircut from his record-breaking contract with Miami.
All right. We'll keep an eye on that for certain. That'll wrap up this episode. Once again, check out all the tools and resources we have available for you up on betterday.com. If you haven't done so already, join us. Become a Better Day subscriber. You can sign up for free and just get our daily newsletter, or you can learn how to elevate your betting game and have access to all the tools and analysis as well as the picks by becoming a Better Day Insider or Better Day Premium member. Just click on the link on the homepage up on betterday.com. For Mackenzie Rivers, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.